Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Around CinemaSins video, I'm going to be sending a video on Meet the Robinsons, and I'd like to give thanks and dedication to Mattia Loran for requesting this video. Enjoy the video, everybody.
Walt Disney, followed by Walt Disney, followed once again by Walt Disney.
Sinning opening logos, sinning opening logos, sinning opening logos. And for the fun of it, I'm not just going to add one sin.
This pencil is either defying the laws of physics or Lewis has, for some reason, engineered it to counterbalance perfectly with this little of its total length behind his ear.
I think it's probably the former, since a lot of other things that we see in this movie aren't possible in our world, such as people being in bubbles.
I want to say that Goob's dark circles are due to lack of sleep or poor nutrition, but the movie doesn't do a great job of establishing the nature of his appearance. Maybe he just has dark circles under his eyes, and that's fine.
It's because of lack of sleep, since Lewis keeps him up at night working on his inventions, and his sleepiness makes him lose a baseball game.
But if he's being neglected or abused, then this kid's film takes on a totally different tone that deserves extra sin.
While he doesn't get neglected by Mildred, he does by Lewis, which is why one of Lewis's lessons in this film is to do better in his relationship with others.
I have never understood the reasoning behind choosing to test an offensive item on yourself after it fails in an attempt to get it working again.
Well, Goob didn't choose to do that. It was just accidental.
I hope this is it. I hope he gets adopted.
Shouldn't Mildred already have a clue about the adults shopping for kids? She should ask, do you like scientifically driven children? How do you feel about a 12-year-old using a soldering iron? How many calculator batteries do you currently have in your battery drawer? If the adults were confused by any of those three questions, then Lewis should not be exposed to another rejection interview. Fuck Mildred is what I'm saying. She's a horrible woman.
Your main point I agree with, but Mildred isn't a horrible woman. She's a kind and supportive character and tries to offer good advice to Lewis.
What's the number one problem that you face when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Stirring the oil back into my goddamn natural peanut butter, that's what. And thanks for the reminder of that annoying task.
Jeremy sends himself cliche.
I bet you thought the B and PB and J stood for butter.
Is this sin supposed to be a joke? Because the B does mean butter.
Too bad he didn't get to try a sandwich from that wonderful invention of yours.
It's too bad the man who is violently allergic to peanut butter didn't get to eat a sandwich whose ingredients are 50% peanut butter? Mildred is the villain of this movie.
My interpretation of that was her saying it's too bad his peanut allergy prevented him from being able to try a PB&J sandwich from Lewis. Though if you guys disagree with me on that, feel free to let me know in the comments section.
I am suitably impressed that this tally does in fact add up to 124, but what sort of monster alternates the angle of lines like this? No wonder nobody wants this kid.
Honestly, I don't think that really matters, because if the movie explained it, it wouldn't really serve a purpose to the main story.
Based on the date in this shop window, we know that this movie takes place during or after 1999. So why would a movie being released at the turn of the century boast about being filmed in color?
I agree with your point about the movie poster, but my sin for you here is that the present setting of this film is 2007, and the future setting is 2037.
Also, foreshadowing.
Yeah, so?
But that's what happens when you get a science geek for a roommate.
Goob's tongue is doing far too much work when he talks, and it's the most distracting thing I've seen today.
Well, it could possibly relate to him being tired since he was kept up all night by Lewis working on his memory scanner.
Maybe a bit early, but let's talk about at least this part of the villain's plan. I mean, how did Bowler Hat Guy, or whoever's in charge here, know that unscrewing this would result in this much carnage?
Well, I think that since Lewis invented both the memory scanner and Doris, it makes sense that she'd know how to sabotage the former. Also, I agree with the rest of your sin here, so I'll be moving on to the next one.
I call it the memory scanner. Ooh, it's shiny.
It is not.
Well, in this shot, you can see that it is shiny in the light.
You know, at first I wasn't impressed with Lizzie's sparse fire ant colony of only 55 occupants, but when the container breaks open on the coach, there are suddenly hundreds of ants, which means amazing science f***ery is happening. That or lazy animation. Probably lazy animation.
I do think this counts as you sinning something you like, but I do agree with you about this being a continuity error. So because of that, I won't add a sin or remove one.
I'm so sorry.
Not now.
Mr. Willerstein's support and encouragement is immediately abandoned when shit hits the fan.
Well, that might be because Lewis told him the memory scanner wouldn't go haywire, and it did due to Doris messing it up.
Man, Lewis must feel totally wrecked by the crushing reality that all the blame for the creation of this dangerous machine is on him, rather than the adult that supervised him along the way. You know, this is my favorite part of kids' movies, seeing how the writers wreak havoc on a child's emotional arena.
Well, things like this happen as ways to create conflicts, as well as the fact that it's to help us feel for what happens to different characters.
Rage quitting your potential.
Well, because the memory scanner didn't work due to Doris messing with it, led to Lewis thinking he's no good at inventing, hence this.
Is Wilbur really passionate about picking up garbage? Or does he somehow know that the image on this crumpled bit of paper is important to the plot, even though he absolutely did not see what was on the page a moment ago? This movie does whatever it wants and ignores so much logic, and we haven't even gotten to the octopus butler yet.
Well, animated movies in general are allowed to ignore logic since they aren't real and can show stuff that can't happen in the real world. So...
Maybe you've forgotten. I'm a time cop from the future. Should be taken very seriously.
I know kids will be kids, but this is a pretty poor attempt at a fake ID, even for a 13-year-old. Come on, this looks nothing like Wilbur.
That's the joke.
3D printing.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Movie fails to explain the chemical compounds of bubbles, which must contain a substance firm enough to support weight but light enough to float.
Personally, I don't think that kind of point really matters since this is not only a futuristic setting, but it's also a world that isn't our own.
Let go! You let go! You're not the boss of me!
Kids!
Well, they are both young, and kids often fight, so...
Are you crazy? I can't fix this thing!
Yes, you can. You broke it, you fix it.
Alright, under one condition.
Alright, one condition. Unless that one condition is you have to first teach me how to fix a fucking time machine, I'm calling baloney.
Firstly, the condition is that if Lewis fixes the time machine, then Wilbur will take him back to see his mom. Secondly, Lewis later says that he'll be able to try to fix the time machine if he has blueprints, which Wilbur says he'll be able to get from Carl.
The time has come. I can delay no longer. These plank teeth are hideous.
Well, they're one of the ways of showing how much he didn't take care of himself when living by himself in the orphanage after it closed down.
Premature imitation celebration.
Well, that's really a flaw of Bowler Hat Guy since he doesn't think anything through and thinks right away that his plans will work out. So I think I'll give this my award.
It's shiny.
It still is not.
Well, it still does look shiny in the lighting like before.
This ridiculously oversized back support.
Well, he is the one in charge, so him having a big chair like this makes sense to me.
Cartoon physics be damned, I'm calling BS that this janky thing would be able to create enough tension to drag this large gentleman across this seemingly never-ending table just by falling a few feet to the ground.
But the movie already isn't realistic by having things like a flying robot bowler hat, and this is apparently what crossed the line for you, Jer.
Well, that was unexpected.
Where in the did the hat come from?
Probably Hammerspace.
Why would my hair be a dead giveaway?
Because in this universe, people cannot control their hair with products designed to control hair.
I get that this is a joke, but it's actually because it would reveal to the Robinsons he's from the past, since he's Cornelius' past self.
It says something about this film, and I'm not sure if there are people in these pots or if it's just a head with tiny tree roots living in the entryway to the home. It also says something about the film that they never explain a goddamn fuchsia octopus, and this is the most normal part of the next 5 minutes.
Well, Spike and Dimitri are just heads in the pots, and as for Lefty, I don't think his reason for being there needs to be explained since it's irrelevant.
By leaving the garage door unlocked, you let the time machine get stolen, and now the entire time stream could be altered.
But how would you know the difference? Wouldn't this just be your new timeline?
Well, it's kind of both, since after Bowler Hat Guy takes the machine to Invenco, it ends up creating a new world where the hats enslave people.
Bouncy tea shrubbery, instant artwork gun, matriarchal marionette, disco granny, octopus butler, frog orchestra. What the f is happening?
Futuristic things that you wouldn't see in the real world.
Frog Sinatra.
See this sin from my Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken video.
Taught him everything they know.
So they took normal frogs and enhanced them to grow vocal cords and dexterity enough to play an instrument? Jesus, this movie is terrifying.
I don't think that's the case for two reasons. The first being that Franny likely taught the frogs how to play instruments like how she teaches the music. And the second is that for the singing, Franny, as a kid, says at the end of the film that frogs have more musical ability than people. Hence that.
Perfect timing. We need someone on maracas.
Lewis would be the Ringo Starr of orchestra sins.
Okay, but what exactly gives off that sin from this scene?
Also, I did not take nearly enough drugs to watch this movie, and someone should have told me I needed meds for this one.
Jeremy Sins himself cliche.
The movie called Meet the Robinsons takes 37 minutes to actually meet all the Robinsons.
Except it's not all of the Robinsons, since we, as well as Lewis, don't meet Cornelius until the end of the movie.
Wait, do they really need to be in the dark for this? And how is Wilbur managing to light the pair of them perfectly when I can't even wring my face properly for fan hangouts?
Well, it's really just a gag for the audience, and they're in the dark so that the Robinsons don't find out that Lewis is really from the past.
Mr. Steak, you're my only friend.
Giving a slab of raw meat to a child. Run out of frozen peas or actual ice packs? God damn, this ridiculous orphanage.
I'm pretty sure that's a plastic steak, not a real one.
Everyone will tell you to let it go and move on, but don't. Instead, let it fester and boil inside of you. Take these feelings and lock them away. Let them fuel your actions. Let hate be your ally, and you will be capable of wonderfully horrid things.
And now you know the process CinemaSins staff will use to turn the hateful comments into alchemical fuel for our next script.
Well, I personally think it's better to just let things go, ignore hate comments, and keep moving forward, and I do all of those in my life. But also, that's not a sin of the movie, so I'll be giving this my award too.
We will shortly find out the bowler hat guy is the adult version of young Michael here, but where the hell did this giant downturned nose come from?
As shown in his flashback, his nose grew longer as he grew up, which contributes to how much he dwelled on losing the baseball game.
Why choose to become invisible after very obviously flying into the yard? God, this movie is dumb.
Calling this great and underrated film dumb, that's worth these many sins.
Sometimes it's hard to sin animation, but then you see the anatomy of a shoe like this, and you gain the confidence to shout, how is his foot fitting in this shoe, and why does no one care?
My guess would be that it's because it's not something the movie needs to explain because it wouldn't have relevance to the story.
Slapping your siblings' meatballs with your bare hands.
Well, Franny does know karate, so...
Also, overly extendable points of articulation aside, I finally pinned down what's so unnerving about Carl. His entire mouth looks like skin. Is this actually a human in a robot skin suit?
No. From failing, you learn. From success, not so much.
No, you learn when you pay attention to the circumstances of your situation and choose to glean wisdom and understanding despite the outcome.
True, but Aunt Bailey is still right, because mistakes help us learn how to do better later on, and they happen to everyone. In addition, I'm not always writing these videos, and the feedback I get is definitely helpful for me and has taught me a good lesson. So I thank you guys for that.
On behalf of Dr. Ian Malcolm, I'm dispensing 50 sins to account for the writers being so preoccupied with whether the Robinsons should survive this, they didn't stop to think if they could survive this.
But they all do survive this, so what's the point of that sin count pad?
No, you can't eat him!
Dude, you have a goddamn remote control, so why wasn't your first instruction, hey, don't eat the kid, I need him alive? You do realize this is a fucking dinosaur, right?
That's a good point, but this is partly because of the fact that Bowler Hat Guy doesn't think his plans through, which is one of his main flaws.
Oh, look! It's the most hilarious part of the movie, and you might be wondering why you're sitting the funniest part of the movie, and the answer is because it's the most hilarious part of the movie, and there should be plenty more that could have been done to make me laugh.
Sinning something you like, and sinning the funniest scene in this movie.
This works, and so does this.
Well, for the shovel, it hooked onto the teeth of the dinosaur. As for the meatball, it works since it bounced off the house in the hat's direction.
Are you boys all right?
We're good, Mom.
Yeah, did you see us take out that dinosaur?
Do you mean the dinosaur that is sitting right here? The one that is now under nobody's control, and should therefore revert to its preferred state of being a tiny-brained carnivore who would probably be partial to the people picnic before him? That one?
Yeah, but the reason for him not attacking is because once he isn't under control of me and Doris, he's shown to be docile and act like a puppy.
I can't believe I was dumb enough to actually believe you were my friend.
I am your friend.
A lot of people in my life tell me that routine is important, so I should probably be thankful for yet another perfectly timed third-act conflict cliché.
And like I've said before, these happen in movies as part of character development since conflicts help them change as part of a film's story.
I guess the message here is that the family champions for mistakes made with inventions, but not mistakes we make as people.
But this is different since Wilbur brought Lewis from the past and they currently don't have a way to take him back to his own time due to the red time machine still being broken and Bowler Hat Guy having stolen the blue one due to Wilbur not locking the garage door.
Eventually, they closed down the orphanage and everyone left. Except me.
Which means Mildred managed to close down the orphanage and overlook the abandoned child upstairs. She's the worst!
Well, we don't know that for sure, and also I think Goob more so chose to stay at the orphanage after it closed down.
And how did Michael even know that the garage door was going to be left open? Had he really been waiting there every night on the off chance that something like this would happen?
I don't think he did know that that would happen. It more so just happened to be easier for him since Wilbur didn't lock the garage door.
Let's see. Take responsibility for my own life or blame you. Ding, 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 ding. Blame you wins hands down.
I don't know whether to sin Disney for reminding me that people can't take ownership for their own actions, remove a sin for highlighting its importance, or add 1,000 sins for the human race in general. Since none of this is my responsibility and Disney solely is to blame, let's stick with the one sin.
Firstly, I think you should have chosen that second one since it's important to take responsibility for your own life, and not everyone does that. Secondly, you misspelled ownership here.
Look at that, boys! We're almost home!
At this point, I have no f***ing clue where Disney draws the line, because this shit is f***ing brutal. I don't care if Carl is eventually repaired, you just blasted a grappling hook through the heart of a lovable comic relief robot, allowed us to watch the electronic spark of life leave his eyes, and just expect that shit to not scar kids for life.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal, but I'd say the movie went even darker than this with the dystopian bowler hat future, though I'm not complaining.
I don't understand. I just wanted to ruin his future, not this.
Believing a bowler hat containing an evil AI will keep its word.
Well, like I said before, Goob doesn't think any of his plans through, which is one of his biggest flaws.
Convenient and sudden understanding of how to drive an entirely foreign spacecraft is convenient.
Well, he could have possibly figured out from the blueprints when trying to fix the time machine earlier.
Let me fix that. There.
Well, this again adds on to my belief that you don't like watching movies, and because this isn't a sin, this will be receiving my award.
Just a little tip for the future. I am always right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right.
She's right. I'd just go with it if I were you.
I'm not going to play Jeremy's sin here because I just want to point out that the yellow captions aren't in italics here, like in a few past videos.
Go! Wake up!
Yes, because losing the game was the problem here, not the fact that losing resulted in hideous bullying, which then sent Michael into an understandable spiral of bitterness and jealousy.
Yes, that is what happened, but missing the catch was what made Goob so angry to the point that he ignored kids that tried to be nice to him. So Lewis waking Goob up here and helping him catch the ball is what changes his future and prevents him from becoming bowler hat guy.
See that, kids? Be better at sports, and maybe, just maybe, that will make you worthy of love.
That is not what this part is supposed to show to the audience. In Goob's backstory, he wasn't adopted due to being so angry, and now he has no reason to be angry, hence him being shown adopted and happier. And here's the result, everybody. This in total is 223, and the sentence will be, keep moving forward. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.